This video is for anyone who's looking to purchase a set of bongos either for themselves or for somebody else or their institution, maybe their school. I'm going to show you all the parts of the bongos and talk about what makes each one quality, what to look for in a set of entry-level or mid-level or even professional bongos, so you can decide how to go about purchasing the bongos that might be right for you or whoever you're buying them for. My name is Kalani. This is World Drum Club. Let's familiarize ourselves with the parts of the bongo drums, and I'll talk about different features along the way. So hopefully when this is over, you'll be all set and you'll be ready to make a good purchase for yourself. So first of all, let's go over some anatomy. These obviously are the shells, right? And you've got the overhead view. You're gonna follow along from there. Shells are typically wood. Most modern drums are made from a wood that they'll brand as Siam oak. Well, Siam oak is a fancy word for rubber wood, rubber tree wood. It's a semi-hardwood. It's okay, it's fine, nothing wrong with it. But I do want to point out that traditionally, a lot of the older bongos or higher end bongos are going to be made from hardwoods. Oak is very common, ash, cherry, walnut, maybe maple. Typical drum shell woods. So you're going to go with the hardwoods. Those are going to be more expensive. They're going to be more valuable, more rare in this case, but that gives you a spectrum. But rubber tree, rubber wood, or Siam oak is what is prevalent. It's what most of the drums that are made in Asia are made of. I play drums that are made of Siam oak, so it's fine. It's just a semi-hardwood, not quite as hard as the oak, ash, cherry, etc. All right, and so you see there's two shells on bongos. Obviously, there's a smaller drum, larger drum. This is not a how to play bongos video or how to tune bongos, so I'm not going to get into that. You've got a block in the middle. On the top, you've obviously got the drum heads. Drum heads are typically calf, mule, or cow skin. A lot of the modern drums, they're going to use bison, which is water buffalo. It's fine, it's a little drier, a little different sound. Some heads on some drums are going to be synthetic. You can also change some of your natural drum heads to synthetic heads. Most of the regular standardized size bongos, in other words, the bongos that are sold by the major manufacturers, the most popular brands, a lot of those are accommodated with synthetic heads made by some of the drum head companies like Remo and Evans. You can shop around for synthetic heads. I would recommend synthetic heads to anybody who's looking to play outside, who's looking to get some drums that they just want to maybe give out to different people, like in a classroom or drum circles, and you don't mind people just kind of beating on the drums, and you're not that concerned with the actual sound of the drums. If you're playing in different kinds of weather, I was touring, we were playing outside, I changed the high drum to a synthetic head. I left the low drum with a natural head because that's tuned lower. But when I needed that drum to be tight, punchy, dry, I just put a synthetic head on it. That was the best choice in that case. Synthetic heads, natural heads, two thin heads on your bongos. Let's go to the hardware, and you see there's a bunch of little parts. So I'm going to name them really quick. Again, not spending too much time. These are your hoops. This drum has what we call traditional hoops. You can see from the top that this is a steel band, very simple. You can see that there's some V-shaped pieces riveted on. Then you've got these, which are called tension rods or tension hooks. They hold the hoop. They pull down on the hoop, and they are attached to the bottom hoop or counter hoop. In this case, another steel band. We've got some U-shaped metal welded on. We've got some nuts on the bottom and plastic or rubber tips on here. This is called the badge. You'll see most drums have a metal badge, maybe also painted or embossed into the wood. You can see these shells have some texture, some patterns on here. And you've got some bolts or nuts on the inside attaching the central block. I've got these are not part of the bongos. These are part of a stand or a mount system that I leave on the bongos. But if you buy a new set, it's not going to have this particular part. All right, so those are the main features. A good drum is going to be kind of heavy. A good set of bongos, so if the bongos you're looking at are super lightweight, I'll try to weigh these and leave it down in the information in the comments section, so you'll have a reference point. But if you're looking at a set of bongos and they're really light, I might steer away from that unless it's just something that you just want to get some bongos for whatever, just so you can say, yeah, I have a set of bongos. But I'm going to talk about why you want to make some decisions about durability and construction as I talk about this other set, which is a mid-range. That set was professional level. This set, also a good set of bongos, but I would say more mid-level or entry even. Same manufacturer, Tycoon Percussion. You can see right away there's some differences here in the hardware. This is a one-piece hoop. And you can see on the top, it's got a thicker profile, and that's because it's one piece of metal. It's been rounded, and some people like that. Some of the sellers will use that as a point, like a plus, like a feature or benefit, where they'll say, well, it's smoother, it's rounder, it's not going to hurt your fingers much. You really shouldn't be hitting the hoops if you play bongos. So it may or may not come into play. No pun intended. Actually, yes, pun intended. You can see here that it's one piece. It's got a hole drilled for the tension rods. Now, these tension rods are nice. They're about the same thickness as the professional drum I just showed you. This is a point, though, where you want to look at the bongos. If they've got super thin tension rods, I would steer clear. Mainly because this is a point of failure if you're tuning your bongos up to what I would say is like professional or typical, which means pretty tight, especially on the high drum. These can start to bend. So the tension rods are important. Obviously, I mean and there's not that many. There's only 4. If you've got, if we had 8 tension rods on here, which I've never seen on a set of bongos, usually you just have 4 per drum. But if you had a bunch of tension rods, that would be awesome. But we don't. We've got 4, and it's a pretty tight drum. So these are important, these tension rods. So that's one point where you can look at quality and make a determination about what you want. The bottom of these drums is pretty much the same. These nuts are not quite as thick as the other ones, not as deep. So, that's something to look at. Badge is here. The inside, the same wood. It's basically, these drums are pretty much the same on the bottom part. But the main difference is this top part. You can also see that these heads are a little bit different. This is definitely the bison or water buffalo. It's usually got more of a tan or brownish look, maybe even translucent. The cowskins or calf they tend to be smoother, a little bit warmer, softer, and more opaque and more consistent in texture. So some players like that, but you're going to find this water buffalo on most of the heads you get. But like I said, you can change the heads if you want. All right, so let's talk about levels of quality and expense and why you might want to get or not get a certain type of drum. Now, I always recommend for any instrument or any item that you're getting, and I live by this myself, get the best you can afford or you're willing to afford at the time you get the first one. And the reason for that is it's better to get something that you can grow into rather than something you're going to grow out of right away. Let's say you want to start playing bongos and you just go for the cheapest bongos. Well, there's a few reasons I would not recommend that. One is quality of sound, quality of experience. It's not going to tune as well. Things might start bending or breaking, and it's not going to sound as good. You're opening yourself up to a lot of points of frustration, and if you could just spend a little more money, even twice as much money, because we're talking about entry level here, so if you spend twice as much, you get something decent like these, you get something playable, it's going to sound better, that's motivational, it's going to be easier to play and easier to tune and maintain, that's enjoyment in your pocket, and it's going to last longer in the learning process. You might not grow out of them, you might just keep them and decide those are good enough, but the time that you're going to not grow out of it is going to be longer. Whereas if you buy the cheap stuff and you do like playing bongos or whatever it is that you're doing, then you're going to want a good instrument, and now you're going to buy a whole nother set. So now you've bought one, and now that money's gone, right? And you're not going to get anything back for that. And then you're going to end up spending the money anyway. So why not just get more up front? You're not going to get much for a entry level, like a super cheap instrument anyway, if you want to resell it. Whereas if you do spend some money, you're probably going to get some of that back because you have resale value, right? It's just like most things. Buy the best you can afford. Now, I'm not saying go crazy and, start ordering custom bongos, but, buy the best you can afford, buy something quality. If you don't like it, if you don't choose to keep playing it, you'll get some of your money back. If you do enjoy it, which you're going to enjoy it more even through the learning process, then it might be good enough. You might just keep it and play it forever. All right. So that's my advice when it comes to that. So things to look for, you can go with these kinds of hoops, these curved hoops, or you can go with the traditional hoops. I play both. I don't mind the traditional. I'm not hitting my fingers on the edges, so it doesn't really matter. The traditionals are lower profile. You know, the drums can be actually closer together, and yeah, just less hardware. I kind of like the traditional look personally. You've got some features here. You could have that or not. There are drums that are synthetic, you know, that are made of different materials, but wood is the most common. Definitely look at the tension rods and the nuts down here. Make sure this is all good quality, because again, that's a point of failure. It's a point of frustration. When you get a set, you know, you might have to tighten up the center. Just, you know, be kind to your drums. Of course, do some things like common sense things like put a little lubricant or grease under these nuts here. Keep your drums detuned if you're not playing them for a while, that kind of thing. I have other videos about how to play the bongos and how to tune the bongos, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section. But if you really want to get in touch with me, and I want to reiterate, this is a member-supported channel. So all the things we put up here are supported by our patrons. You can go to patreon.com/Kalani. If you got anything out of this video, show that you got something out of this video by supporting us with a small donation a month or a one-time donation. And you'll get more access to more videos over there as well. But you can leave a question here. I might answer it, but I'll definitely answer it if you're a patron. So go there and join if you're serious about percussion or you're serious about music and you want to do more than you can do here for free on YouTube. All right, I want to thank you for watching. Again, I'll leave as much information in the comment section as I can. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, share it with some of your friends. If you're a teacher, music teacher, shoot this out in an email blast or newsletter. The more information we can share, the more quality information we can share, the better we can all do. So let's do that. Support one another. Go make some great music. Good luck on your search if you're in the market for bongos and you're going to buy some bongos. That's exciting. So good luck. I hope it turns out the way you want or better. I'm Kalani. This is World Drum Club. Thanks for watching.